Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? I almost had some technical difficulties there for a second, but I think I got it right in time. So if you are watching this on LinkedIn Live right now through the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce business page, please throw me a comment so I know that it's coming through there. I may have dodged a bullet there. Technical difficulties wise. Hi, everybody. My name's Adam, bringing you once again our weekly office hours live, brought to you by the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Today, I need to just dive right in. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. I have guests today, two outstanding panelists, and we're going to be talking everything PPP, round 2 of Paycheck Protection Program, and its impact in particular on minority-owned, women-owned, and veteran-owned businesses. So if you're in those or a combination of those, you're definitely going to want to hang in there. But overarchingly, we're going to have a lot of great general information about this second round of Paycheck Protection Program. Oh, I didn't go live on LinkedIn. That's the thing. Excellent. All right, let me view on LinkedIn. Before I move forward, I want to make sure that we are broadcasting live. So if you are watching on LinkedIn, I ask please drop a comment just so I know that we're making it happen right now. Let me take a look. I think yep, there it is. Okay, so here's the deal, folks. You didn't come to hear me talk. You came to hear about Paycheck Protection Program, which is totally cool, but I have a couple housekeeping items to do. I won't go into my normal big, long-winded spiel, but if you go into the description of this event, you'll see a Linktree link that'll take you to all of the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce social links. Please follow us across the board. We wear a different hat on different platforms. We bring a lot to the table through our Facebook, our LinkedIn, all the way to Twitch, and everything in between, YouTube. If you are interested in learning anything or having support in the areas of business, if you are a veteran-friendly business, a veteran-owned business, a veteran employer, if you're a business owner, or heck, if you're just a professional looking to benefit from the overarching impact of adequately supporting our veterans, please give us a follow across the board and let us bring that value to you. We exist to serve you. Your success is our mission. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a banner on the bottom. There's a link to our Linktree. Follow us everywhere, please. Our YouTube channel right now is growing. It's new. Give us a follow there, and you and I can be best friends. But other than that, friends, this will be an open forum. So please feel free to throw comments, questions, anything that you have about PPP round 2 in the comments, and we will definitely address those as they come in. We're currently live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. So enough for me. Going to introduce our panelists that are going to do more speaking than I, hopefully, so you don't get to hear me gab on anymore. Doug Heding from U.S. Bank, and Mike Hetzel from WWBIC, the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. Did I get that right?
It's quite a mouthful, but you got it right.
Excellent. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Mike, you good?
Absolutely healthy, and we're helping people out there, so that's a good thing.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, WWBIC's an outstanding organization. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and we were talking before we hopped on. Doug and Mike, you both bought your door at the same place, it looks like.
We went to Menards.
You went to
great.
Yeah,
I think it's standard issue in Wisconsin, I think. So
yes. Nice. Well, let's dive right in, and I'll let you guys bounce it back and forth here. And again, anybody, if you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, anything you want to throw it in the comments, I'm going to go ahead and moderate to make sure that our experts here address your questions and thoughts. But quickly, what is the Paycheck Protection Program? Who is eligible for it? We'll do a real brief overview before we get into the specifics of this second round.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So the Paycheck Protection Program, obviously this is round 2. The first round came out earlier in 2020. Obviously, I'm sure everybody was aware of it, right? The initial funds ran out. We came back with more, and now we're back for a second round. And with this second round, Congress has approved about $285 billion new fundings that are going to go out to small businesses, and really to qualify, you would have been in business at least by February 15th, 2020. So if you were in business by February 15th, 2020, and can demonstrate that, you are eligible as a business to be able to apply for the PPP.
Excellent. Now, who's we? Who's giving that money out? The money's coming from the government and going to lenders, to nonprofits. Who? Where does the money come from? Who's giving it out? Explain that, Mike. You were shaking your head. It looks like I got it wrong. Please educate me. Where's this money coming from, and who's giving it out?
What's been given? And hi, everybody. What's been given from the SBA and the government through the CARES Act is a guarantee for the money. So basically, that means that whomever you're doing your loan with, whether it be a PPP at U.S. Bank or whether it be some other association like WWBIC or whatever it happens to be, those institutions come up with the money. Just like any other loan, like a car loan, like an equity loan for a house or whatever, they dig into their own pockets, come up with the money. But the appealing thing about this for the lenders is the fact that this money that's set aside for the government, the $285 billion that Doug had talked about, that's guarantee money. So it gives the lender a very comfortable feeling to be able to help and do these loans, because in case something would happen, I mean, God forbid, but in case something would happen that the loan wouldn't be forgiven or they wouldn't qualify for forgiveness, it becomes a real loan on the books of the bank or whoever gives out the money. And in case something would happen to default down the road, there is a guarantee by the government. And that's the set aside for this, because the government the government really wants to forgive that loan. I mean, that's really the purpose of the money. And, we don't want to have anybody have a loan payment with this loan. We want everybody to be forgiven, which in this case is 60% of all the funds need to be used for payroll. So as long as you can prove that, and there's some other criterion for this round too that we'll talk about. But, as long as the loan is forgiven, that's what the money was there for. It's to help payroll. It's to help keep people on payroll. And it's to basically help the economy moving.
Well, so I think that's a really good point that everybody needs to know. This is not a grant. This is a loan.
Correct.
So what would you have to say to people that would be hesitant to dive into this for fear that somehow down the road they'd be on the hook for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000?
Yeah, I would not be hesitant to dive in if you need the money to support your staff. I mean, really what this is money that has been dedicated to go to small businesses, and really any business that has employees, or even if you're a sole proprietor, to make sure that you can stay in business and weather this coronavirus that's putting a hindrance on our economy right now. So to answer your question, even though it is a loan that you're applying for, that shouldn't stop you from going to go get that money. Because as long as you utilize those funds appropriately, like Mike was talking about earlier, there's a very high probability to get a forgiveness on that debt. So that way it does not become a loan for you in the future. And that's what helps you keep your business open and running and keeps people employed in the meantime. It's all worth it.
Absolutely. Can I just expand on what Doug just said here too?
Absolutely.
Let's give everybody an example. That's the easiest way to understand this. So let's make numbers easy and say that your business makes in revenues, $10,000 a month for the sake of argument. Basically, it's whatever your monthly revenues happen to be, and there's another thing to this, multiplied by 2.5%. With this new round, if in fact you're in the food services industry, so you're in the accommodations, restaurant business, anything that's to do with food, because those businesses were the hardest hit this time through. The SBA PPP program now will allow 3.5 times for the PPP program. So if you figured it was just 2.5 for the sake of argument, without being a 72 NAICS code, which is the restaurants and all that kind of stuff, that would be on basically $10,000 a month. That's $25,000 PPP loan. Now, if over a period of 8 weeks or 24 weeks or whatever you choose, if you're going to spend 60% of that money on payroll, you're going to be forgiven. So 60% of 25,000 is what, $15,000? So within that period of 8 weeks or 12 weeks or 15, whatever, if you can prove that you spent that amount of money on payroll, which more than likely, if you look back at your past payroll records, if you still got people on payroll, the key is to not let people go off of payroll. You need people. And if this money, at least 60% is used for payroll, you're pretty, almost, I'm not going to say you're insured, but you're going to be forgiven. We aren't the largest lender out there with PPPs by any means. I mean, Doug over at US Bank has done, thousands of these loans. But, with the loans that we have done, we haven't submitted a loan yet that has not been forgiven.
Excellent. Well, that's good to know. So who's eligible for this? Or maybe it would be better to talk about who's not eligible. What if you're a one-person operation, a sole proprietorship, or a single-owned LLC? Are you eligible if you're on your own payroll and technically your income isn't separate from your personal from whatever you're filing in taxes? Are you still eligible for that?
So I would the answer is yes. But I would tell you, right, it's always advisable to go, talk with your financial professional who works with you for that additional guidance. Obviously, it's, when you're talking here, it's hard to give specific advice in a very general format, right?
And we should definitely say, let me interject, this does not constitute official financial advice. Talk to your financial planner.
Right.
Your
Disclaimer.
CPAs, bankers, yeah.
Can you put that on that banner on the bottom? Just put that on that banner that says, follow Wisconsin.
Got to create a new one. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Hey, well, we've got a quick interjection here, and I do want to hear Doug follow up on this to talk about who is and isn't eligible for this before we get into the specifics on the impact of minority women and veteran-owned businesses. Please, a reminder, throw in your questions, comments, any thoughts, or anything you need answered about this second round of PPP in the comments, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, or YouTube, and I will make sure that our experts here, Mike and Doug, answer them. So please throw them in there. We want to hear from you. Our job is to support you and answer your questions. So Doug, who's eligible, who's not eligible?
Yeah, if you've had a business and you've been in business since at least February 15th of 2020, you are eligible. So kind of going into what you're saying, if you're just a single sole proprietor, no employees, sort of things like that. If you have a Schedule C, and that's how you report your income, then we utilize the information off of that Schedule C in order to determine the overall payroll. And I think Mike was talking about earlier with sales. In terms of, I believe it's 2.5 times from payroll costs. However, the exception is if you're a sole proprietor, you obviously don't have payroll costs, your net income is. And so they typically will go off of a Schedule C for sole proprietors. But again, consult with your financial professional for that sort of thing. But the message that I want to make sure gets across is it doesn't matter if you're a single sole proprietor, no staff operating entity, as long as you're a business and you file from a business standpoint, Schedule C, Schedule E, you qualify and you can apply for, you can apply for a PPP loan through your financial institution.
Excellent. So guys, Mike, Doug, either of you can field this. What is different this time around? How is round 2 of PPP different than round 1?
Doug, you
sure.
Okay?
Sure, I can do that. So really, there's the mission of it is not that different, right? The mission is to make sure we can continue to keep people employed and continue to keep businesses operating and functioning. So the mission is still the same. The biggest difference is this time, if you took a first draw already back in the original PPP and you're coming in to do your second. So that's one of the big key things here too, is just because you took PPP before means you definitely can apply again. You are allowed to get 2. So this second round, the way you're going to qualify is if you've had a decrease in revenues year over year between 2019 and 2020 on matching quarters. So for example, if say, let's look at Wisconsin specifically, right? So in Q2, we had our lockdown, right? We had businesses that were closed. People were told to stay home for several weeks. I remember driving on the streets and it was amazing that there was nobody out there, right? But that also impacts business and things like that. Yep. So if Q2 in 2020, if your revenues were less than 25% or decreased by 25% since your 2019, then that is one of the qualification standards that you would qualify for a second round of PPP.
Interesting. Well, here's this may be too specific. I'm not sure if anybody has fallen into this, but I've always been curious. So you say you need to be in business by X date in February of 2020 to be eligible for this. Correct. What if you launch your business in January and quit your day job? You launch your business in January. Your business does not yet have an established history of building revenue and or profit. What do they base the PPP loan on? Is it projections, or are you just out of luck?
So every situation is unique. Mm-hmm. This gets into one of those technical questions that I would say consult with your CPA.
You can always, too specific.
You can always call the SBA for further guidance.
Okay.
But no, it's not off of projections. They're gonna look at what you actually produced, and so it's gonna be one of those where you'd have to provide some sort of documentation that demonstrates, the net income that you generated during that time, or if you have employees, the payroll costs, and then you would apply the factor to that. So that's a very generalized way to talk, right? Every situation is unique, but just in general format. Yes, if you launched your business in January, according to the rules, if you were in business on February 15th, 2020, you can apply for PPP.
Keep in mind also, and thanks for that, Doug, if you have not gotten a PPP round 1, which was the one that happened in 2020, you can't get a PPP round 2 until you've applied for a PPP round 1.
Oh,
there's still money out there. There's still like $1 billion out there for people that that could apply for, or at least maybe 10 billion. I'm not quite sure what it was, but there's money out there because you can't graduate to a PPP 2 unless you've done a PPP 1. But you can.
That is super important information.
Yeah,
super important. I would have never expected that. Okay, so this round 2 may have expanded eligibility, but if you were eligible for round 1 and you have not received round 1, that's where you need to start. Is that what you're telling me?
Do it. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Excellent. Well, Mike, since we're chatting with you, let me ask you this. So what is the impact of this second round on our veteran, women, and minority owned businesses? I know that is an area of specialty for you and for WWBIC. So are there any special incentives, programs, considerations, or anything that a specifically veteran, woman, or minority owned business would need to consider or should know going into this?
Well, I guess, what's real important is that you just keep accurate records of whatever you're doing in terms of, your revenues, in terms of your payroll, all that type of thing. But one thing that I guess that I just want to make sure that everybody understands too is that our commitment at WWBIC to veterans, about 10% of the loans that we did for the PPP in the first round were to veteran-owned businesses, which was, for us that's a high percentage because with our whole loan portfolio, we don't have 10% of our businesses right now as veteran-owned businesses in terms of our loans. We have a little bit less than that, but for the PPP program, the number's up. And that's just because of the fact that more veterans knew that we existed and more veterans, came to us for help. We also do have another program that's outside of this, which Doug is aware of too here at WWBIC. That's, basically it's a 5% loan for veterans up to $25,000. It's for existing businesses, but we can go up to 5 years in this program, and there's very little closing cost. And so, if in fact, you need money as a veteran, that's a program totally outside of PPP that might be able to help the veteran-owned businesses out. So just, be aware of that.
That's good to know. Yep. If you are a Wisconsin business owner, WWBIC is definitely something to look into, not only through those incentives or those offerings that you have, but I know you're also the purveyors of Kiva as well. A lot of lending options for business, for entrepreneurs that are looking to get started or that need to stay afloat during the pandemic.
Correct. And we are also the trustee and the assigned manager for VBOC for Wisconsin, Illinois, and for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of our constituents know our good friend Dan Newberry, who is the new co-director over there at VBOC at the Veteran Business Outreach Center. But not a lot of people know that WWBIC, the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation, is actually the maintainer of VBOC, the Veteran Business Outreach Center, and they are the grantors from the SBA. It's SBA, correct? VBOC is. the receivers of that grant to be able to administer the Veteran Business Outreach Center services, to include boots to business and all that lovely stuff. So WWBIC, y'all rock. But
correct. Well, thank you. You know, we can only do lending though because of the documentation requirements in the state of Wisconsin. However, we can provide all the educational services that we need to do through all the tri-state area. And, you know, you can certainly always go see Doug for something too, because, you know, with that, you know, obviously U.S. Bank serves the whole country. So, you know, so maybe we're kind of in Wisconsin, but who knows? I mean, maybe someday we'll be Illinois and, you know, Minnesota too, but, you know, we're there to help. And just kind of go back to like specific benefits for veterans in the, you know, in this program. You know, we're always going to try to help everybody we can. However, there are no costs involved to the client on this. Generally, what happens if there's a benefit to the veterans, it's usually a reduction in cost, a reduction in fees, something like that. And there are no fees for this program.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good to know. What does the timeline look like? How does so let's say someone has deemed themselves eligible for either PPP round 1 because they have not yet done that, or they have received funding, financing through PPP round 1 and are looking to dive in to PPP round 2. How much time do they have? What's the timeline, and how do they get off the ground?
Yeah, no, good question. And I can answer that. And I also want to add a little bit on the for the other question as well. So the timing right now, so this second round of PPP is extended until March 31st of 2021, or until the funds are exhausted. That is really the timeline for this. But there's also some caveats in there. And I just kind of want to go through some of those. So right now, the second round of PPP actually opened on Monday. So it is live. It is ready to go. Now with that, because in this round of PPP, the big focus was really to reach some of those rural, minority-owned businesses, you know, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, to really reach out and give them an opportunity to kind of take the front of the line and get those loans that they need. So right now, currently, community banks, so community banks with asset sizes of less than 10 million. So you can think of your kind of your local, you know, Southeast Wisconsin based community bank would be those, as well as you know, CDFIs. So you know, that would be like your WWBICs, your IFFs. Groups like that, they are open to be able to start processing now. Your larger banks, so banks with asset sizes greater than 10 million, will be opening up at a later point. So if you're say a US bank or a Chase client, you're asking the bank, hey, I hear this is open. We are not yet at the point of taking applications. The smaller banks that are less than 10 million in size are. So again, that's a big differential. And I want to make sure people are aware that we're all going to get there. But really the focus on that is to make sure that those customers that are in, you know, say, you know, rural Wisconsin, where there might not be a large bank, it might be, you know, the community bank that's there to serve them, that they get first in line, to make sure that those folks have first in line access to be able to get those funds. So that's a, you know, that's a great thing for them to be able to ensure that they're able to get that. And now also with this program, they've also set aside, so of that 285 million, they've set aside $30 billion to specifically address those community banks as well as the CDFIs, so that they have designated funds to be able to reach those rural and minority owned businesses in order for them to be able to get funding. You know, and within the second round of money, $35 billion of it is also set aside for first-time draw customers or borrowers. And that's another big thing, because we know there's a lot of people who went and got the first round. There were some companies that didn't qualify the first round that do qualify now. Primarily things like housing cooperations, you know, some news organizations, 501 C6s are another one. But there were some that didn't qualify, and there were some people that either through hesitation or maybe, you know, they didn't know where to go or something like that, didn't access the first round. They wanted to make sure that there's sufficient money here for them to be able to get that capital that they want. And then on top of that, they're also setting aside another, I want to say it's about 40 billion. So 15 billion for first draw, 25 billion for second draw. That's going to be specifically designated to companies or businesses with a maximum of 10 employees and have loans of less than 250,000 that are in low to moderate income. And again, this is specific money held aside within the program by the SBA to address the needs of those borrowers in those markets. And so I think that's one of the big messages we want to get out on this call or live, right? Is the money is out there and it's being set aside. We want to make sure everybody is aware of this, and that, you know, what they need to do is reach out. You know, there's various places you can reach out. And I think this is going to probably be your next question, Adam. But you know, they can reach out to SBA.gov. Right, is a great place to go and get information. Right, your local chamber of commerce. Right, so you know, the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Right, the African American Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, you know, you can reach out to them. WWBIC, right? You can reach out to any of your community organizations in those, or call your banker. Right, that's the other biggest thing is reach out to your local bank. And they'll be able to guide you through that process. And don't be afraid to call and ask. If you're a business and you're in business as of February 15th, 2020, call your bank and see what you need to do in order to do this, because it's a great program. It's designed to help your business, help you stay in business, help you keep your employees, and help you continue to find success as we manage, you know, as a collective economy through coronavirus.
That's all great information. I just wanted to, for all of our watchers, I wanted to let you know I just saw that we're getting comments on LinkedIn, and for some reason, it's the second time I've had this. They're not popping up in my chat feed, so I'm going back and checking it out. It doesn't look like we have any questions. James Santilli says Doug with like 6 exclamation points, so he's saying howdy. Jeff Bauer says he's launching this month, so maybe my question about timing was poignant there. And Jane Babcock, she's been seeing a lot of our stuff lately. She's another great resource about VA benefits and whatnot. Appreciate you watching, Jane, and giving input. And let's see, FYI, orders are what finance and transportation use to coordinate movements. So orders are someone unless okay. Just making sure that there weren't any questions for us to address as we are rounding third and waving on home here. I want to turn it over to Mike for his final thoughts. Do you have anything to add? Doug kind of answered where can one find further information, but maybe you have some more WWBIC specific stuff. Any final thoughts, and where can somebody learn more about you and this program?
Sure. Let me give you an example, and for the audience also, in terms of the flexibility that we have to have this time through. I mean, the purpose of the program is to help businesses with their payroll. That's really the bottom line. Keep people employed, keep people, you know, being able to make their rent payments, be able to go out and buy groceries, to be able to do the things they need to do if the business is not generating as much revenue as they used to. And I have a client that I'm working with right now that had a $10,000 reduction in revenues quarter one over quarter two for 2019 to 2020. That represented a 24.8% reduction in income. Now, the guideline is 25%. Okay. So I contacted the SBA through the SBA hotline that all of us lenders have the opportunity to do. And they're taking it up the flagpole a bit. But, in the spirit of where the program is, 24.8%. And on that level of a difference, it means if they would have shown $80 less in difference, they would have qualified for the program under 25%. So, I mean, these are guidelines that we use. The spirit of the program is to help clients. Mm-hmm. And, if you've got a 5% difference, if you've only got a 20% loss, they're not, it's not the purpose of the program. But to be so close and yet so far. So just to realize there is a human factor to this. And that's very important because we're here to help people. And, in terms of helping people, we're this year celebrating our 27th year in the state of Wisconsin as the state's largest community development financial institution, CDFI. We service about 650 or so business clients throughout the state of Wisconsin. We've got a loan portfolio of about $25 million. And, you know, for a CDFI, a community development financial institution, that's pretty large. And I throw that figure out because we have a 97% payback rate on our money. And I want to share that with you because the reason that we have that payback rate, because most of our clients are, you know, if it wasn't like the PPP program, most of our clients that come to us were referred to us by banks who might not have been able to do their loan because it didn't fit in the specific criterion that a bank may have needed. And so, I mean, there's inherently more risk involved with the loans that we do here at WWBIC. But the reason that we have a very successful payback rate is because of the technical assistance that we offer. Because once you become a loan client with us, you're assigned a business coach here at WWBIC. And that business coach walks through the life of the loan with you. And they make sure you stick with what you said you were going to do on your projections on your business plan. You meet with that coach once every 2 or 3 months throughout the year. And, you know, we give you this mentoring that continues to go along. And we just don't drop the money in your pocket and say, have fun.
Right. And that is something that sets WWBIC apart is, you know, yes, there are the lending opportunities and resources, but like they're wholly dedicated to the education portion. I have personally taken, you know, before I launched my personal LLC, taken courses with WWBIC on, you know, how to get started. And I can attest to the quality of it and the passion and dedication with which they support entrepreneurs and folks that are looking to get their business off the ground or keep it supported. So appreciate what you do, Mike, and for all your information today. Doug, do you got any final parting thoughts about PPP round 2?
No, I think I've said it all. So, you know, again, the biggest encouragement is reach out. Reach out to your banker, reach out to your local chamber of commerce, reach out to your, you know, SBA, to the SBA.gov, find out where you can get access to that money. It is set aside and it's there for you.
All right, guys. Now, final question, the most important pressing question on every Wisconsin business owners and Wisconsin employees and Wisconsinites' mind right now. Is Aaron Rodgers the most valuable player in 2020 and 2021?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
Mike?
Who's Aaron Rodgers?
Uh-oh.
Of course.
Of course he's the MVP. Are the Packers winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
You know we have to say yes.
Yeah.
Who's our biggest hurdle?
See, now you're testing our football knowledge. You just got to give us yes or no questions here, Adam.
Are we going to win the Super Bowl? Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, MVP. All right, guys. Hey, Doug, Mike, thank you, both of you. Thanks to U.S. Bank for letting us borrow Doug. Thanks to WWBIC for letting us borrow Mike. Thank you, gentlemen, for your expertise and for sharing your wisdom. If anybody wants to follow up, you can search for us on LinkedIn. Or anywhere on social media and everywhere in between. I was having some issues receiving comments there. So if you have any follow-up questions, we do want to make sure that we address those. So reach out to us via Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. It doesn't matter. Just reach out to us and we'll find a way to help you out. That's what we're here for. Again, my name's Adam with the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to hang on the line with these guys, but I'm going to end the broadcast for everybody else. I hope you all have a fantastic Wednesday and rest of your week. And we will see you next week. Same place, same time. Across channels, 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Thank you.